Welcome back, everybody, to the Breachers VRML. I'm your host, Gibular Bob, joined by the one, the only Nightfire with 2 E's. We're back here in the EU for the Breachers VRML. We've got IVI versus FYR. FYR, we've seen them before just, I believe, last week when they went against Ragnarok, and what a close game that was. IVI still on top of the EU scene. Nightfire, I'm excited for this matchup.
Yeah, it is a hyped up game this afternoon. A highly requested one by the community. Has some extreme voting going on it. 35 upvotes. And I love to see the hype on the EU side. I love to be able to deliver EU cast because I feel like we didn't really hit that mark too hard last season. You know, it's something that we're obviously putting a little more focus on this season, and I think it's paying off. Maybe I don't know. I'm not going to take credit for the growth in the EU scene of our cast, okay, Bob? But these teams are getting better. You know, across the board, the top of the EU is really growing, and there is a diversity in teams that can compete at the top level on the EU side. And both of these squads are teams that can and will be fighting for that #1 spot all season long to try and be crowned that EU champion.
Yeah, they're taking it all the way. We've had already a plethora of very, very entertaining matchups. And I mean, we've got this today, which is going to be really entertaining as well. Yep. And it's going to continue to have a bunch of really entertaining matchups. Yeah, because there's not just 1 or 2 top teams. There's 3 or 4. There's quite a few in the top of the EU scene. So
expanding.
Yeah, and it's only, of course, it's only getting bigger. So it's only going to get more and more entertaining, and make sure you don't miss it. Make sure you hit that bell icon as you subscribe and like the stream so that you don't miss when we have another one of these entertaining casts, because there's bound to be more. We're only on week 5, Nightfire, so there's still plenty of time left in the season.
Yeah, it is early days for these teams developing their strategies, finding their footing, and I'm curious. I don't have the match record up in front of me, but we can pull it up and take a look at how these teams have been performing this season, because I think that'll obviously give us a good insight into where we're at this afternoon. Yeah,
so taking a look at that matchup, IVI 5-0, the only undefeated EU team since the start of Season 2. FYR, also undefeated currently, but they've just joined us recently here, 1-0. Yep. IVI's best map, Hideout. They've played 36 rounds there. They've won 78% of them. FYR's best map, Arctic, 10 rounds played there, 70% of those rounds won. So they're tough. Both teams are very tough.
Yeah. Yeah, and you might be looking at this wondering, why is a team that's only played 1 game in the league going up against a team like IVI? And it's because on the backside, there's a formula that's working. The FYR team is not consisting of players that are not already skilled. You know, that's the whole idea, is that it takes into account the individual players' previous sort of match history and how they played. And what their experience level is, and puts that into effect here. And so I do think we're going to get a pretty even matchup this afternoon. And I mean, with how they battled yesterday, or their last week against Ragnarok, I think, you know, a lot of people look at Ragnarok as one of those teams that's in the top, you know, and they ended up giving them their first loss, or at least they secured their only win against them. And that, I think, really kind of woke people up to FYR. That's where all the hype is coming from, to my understanding, at least around tonight's matchup.
Yeah, every time I hear about our fellas over there at Ragnarok, I mean, they've had a pretty tough season so far. They've gone against Cheeky Breachy, they've got IVI.com, FYR, and this week they got Alpha XE. But they've been against a lot of our really, really tough teams over here in the EU. They've experienced firsthand how tough a lot of these teams are. And that's why, the most of the first casts I got for some of these top teams were when they were going against Ragnarok. So we've seen them quite a bit here on the cast, but it looks like we have seen the first map picked here. It's going to be Factory. That's the better map. Well, there's no data for it for Fire, but IVI, 37 rounds played there, and 59% of those won. That's their worst performing map, and they've won 60% of the rounds.
Good. Yeah, that's still pretty impressive. Some good metrics there, and I mean, Factory is obviously a map that a lot of all these players are going to have some deep experience on, just as from playing it, over the existence of how long that map has been in the game of Breachers. People really do have good strats around there, and I'm curious to see what the EU battlefield is going to bring us. I'm really anticipating if I'm going to have a guessing man, a betting man, I would go 3-3 first half is where I'm going to kind of put us here on the opening of Factory. I feel like Factory has an opportunity for it at the very least, especially depending on where the site is. There is that chance for some aggressiveness out of the defense, some roaming out of the defense to try and, secure some early picks, that early advantage. And I think we're going to see a lot of back and forth. Again, that's my sort of initial impression of what we're going to go to this afternoon. I think we're going to see a good battle this afternoon, and I'm really excited to get into an EU matchup here. And then there's to just tell people there's another one later tonight as well, an NA matchup that's also pretty hyped up that I'll be joining Martini for.
While we wait for that, let's go ahead and get started in our first map, which is going to be Factory. All right, here we are, map number 1, Nightfire. It's Factory. IVI taking the offense as Fire starting off on the defense here. I'm liking the starting eco that we're going to see a mix of Cyclones, Spectrals, and a Jesper there too.
They are missing a fifth, or is that... Yeah, there we go. Veno comes in. They had some interesting early connection problems there on Fire side. At least on my end, it looked like not everyone was in on that lobby, but everyone has now jumped in, and that may end up kind of impacting their readiness here in these early rounds. Veno's still adjusting the headset on their head as they do get ready for this B-site defense, and Miniboo catches Mr. Tabs out. A drone comes through on the outside of B to do a little bit of assessment, and I don't know if it identified Veno, who's still tucked in and does eventually work off of that BN. So they've got the outside of B free and clear to work through now.
Yeah, they've given up some real estate over here on Fire. Lost a player early into this round. That's a good start for IVI as they now push into orange storage. And we've seen this before recently in the EU, where these matches are starting to get faster and they start to up the pace of their pushes. And IVI already on the move. However, Miniboo's picked up a fair amount of damage through the wall, but they did buy a healing syringe. Not something you often see. Oh, wow, and an S-tier frag tossed by Jim, who will find that kill on Beaver as Fire, evening things up here in round number 1.
Very nicely rolled there. Gets a really good land there, and really no time to move off of that bounce. So good opening kill to get them back on the board. And IVI is lingering, something that can end up really hurting you, especially on the outside of B. If you stick around too long and you give the opportunity for a team like Fire to rotate out, Rise could swing wide and try and hit the flank of this offense. It's why they do have Lottie on this outside sort of loosely guarding it, but they are definitely vulnerable to a flank if they they have Dex watching, and I guess they're just holding their angles, maybe even waiting for the push to come to them.
Rise over in site A, watching a flank as they're anticipating some kind of push to come from the other side of the site. Now, IVI are running down the clock a lot here. There's only a minute left in this first round, and it's a 4 versus 4. And that's giving Fire a very nice opportunity to block them out for quite a long time. And, you know, of course, the longer the clock runs down, the more pressure is going to be put on IVI to make a move. Yeah. Goobling getting caught by AntButUK, who catches a kill right off the breach. Jim over in connector right now, finds some damage. His Dex now looks to swing and will find that kill. It's a 4 versus 2 down to Rise and Vino over in connector as they rotate into receiving, and Rise drops 2. But in the end, IVI picking up their first round here on Factory.
Really had some trouble there getting rid of that static emitter. It was just a thorn in the side of that duo trying to push out of the door and getting to that point where they could plant. You saw multiple shots in the chaos. It's hard, you know, to ultimately tap the top of that emitter, which is what the goal is there if you're not familiar. Very hard to shoot from the sides, especially with a pistol. You can destroy it with a Vezin or a rifle or anything really better than your starting pistol. But in round 1, the static emitter obviously has a lot of value there, and a nice double kill to be scooped up with that Cyclone. It had, for a moment, felt like maybe Fire were regaining control of that pistol round, but they have not, and instead it's gone to IVI, and IVI is now going to go in very strong round 2. A big commitment with 4 rifles and a drone, health syringes, grenades. They are going very heavy here. This is, I mean, the most full buy they could go off of a round win like that last one.
Of course, when you do invest heavily into a round like this, you have to be careful that you don't lose any of your players, because if you drop even one of those Vezins, you know the other team is going to use that opportunity to capitalize on that mistake and do a lot of damage. I've seen this happen before quite a few times, and honestly, it seems like the teams that buy less Vezins, you know, stick with maybe 1 or 2, often find the more success. But I mean, it's different for every single team. So we'll see how IVI attacks this. There's the drone going down to Jim as AntButUK pushing that kill, looking for Jim. Notice that they rotated as Jim is caught by Laddie. Mr. Tabs, however, picking up 2 kills of their own. And we see Miniboo and Dex over in blue vendings. And what is a better start for Fire? Look at this. It's a 2 versus 4 already.
They've maybe underestimated their opponent this afternoon here, as Fire is coming in strong. 3 rifles scooped up into the hands of this Fire on defense. It is the worst case scenario to the full buy. It is exactly what you cannot allow to have happen, and it's happened to IVI. Down goes another rifle. Laddie's all that's left with a pistol. Their drone did not lead them to success, and oh my, a disaster for IVI and a massive comeback for Fire. 4 alive, 4 rifles through. Their economy is completely back. It's perfect for this Fire offense or defense.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's this pattern I see where teams buy 4 Vezins and they
felt it in my bones.
Yeah, and they end up losing all of those Vezins, and they lose a round that they really should have won. They should have been guaranteed to win that. But I'm wondering, you know, maybe if you give everybody a Vezin, then the opportunity for somebody to die and then give a Vezin over to your opponent is, you know, it's more likely to happen. And then your opponent, of course, can use that to find those one-tap headshots against you. So, I mean, it is the dangers of buying the round 2 Vezin, because while it is a very, very important tool and one that many teams would agree is the right thing to buy in the second round, it's also not a guaranteed win, because I've seen plenty of teams buy Vezins and hasn't worked out for them in the end.
I can't believe it. A complete shift, and well, maybe I can believe it. I called 3-3 in map 1. We'll see how IVI adjusts, because quite frankly, they can do the same. They can bounce back in an equivalent way. They can find rifles if this Fire team gets over aggressive off of this nice win. If this nade connects inside of B, it could lead to disaster for this defense, as Fire and Mr. Tabs are still holding here. Baptiste goes in and goes down. Oh, the bot taking control. Unfortunately, Mr. Tabs getting huge damage done to them on the immolation nade, but they'll survive, and the rifles stay into the hands of the defense for now. An unfortunate disconnect there that leads to 1 dead for IVI, but still 4 alive, and well, the offense still capable.
Yeah, now what we're seeing here from IVI is definitely a super eco. They only purchased Jespers except for Beaver. I'd argue that Beaver is probably not even going to enter the building here or push, or maybe they'll just play for some picks here. But IVI are going to have to be careful. They're going to try and do as much damage as they can to Fire, but it's going to be difficult because, again, you're going up against 4 Vezins. They're stocked well with utility, and they've got plenty. I mean, they're on the defense, so they don't have to push out. IVI is going to have to push in, and I think Fire knows this. They understand this, and they realize that if you just overwhelm your opponent with the numbers and the Vezins, there's really not a whole lot they can do here. They don't even have breaching foam, Night Fire, so they're kind of stuck. They've got to go through some of these choke points. Laddie taking out that proximity alarm as we see some shot placement through the wall into electrical. Fire are looking for IVI, and it's going to be tough for them to get this one.
There's every ounce of utility here, from door blockers to double static emitters outside of A. A, really a lot harder to get through than B. There's nothing over on B, but unfortunately IVI not aware of this. They're not able to see through walls. They don't know that they've fully kitted out this A side defense, and if anything, they're maybe assuming that it's been lightened up because they're maybe trying. It's all guessing games in the early stages, of these rounds, and well, right now they're not making the best bet because, again, it is a stacked A-site defense, and there is also Rise tucked in here. Mr. Tab's starting to feel a little aggressive. Some shots to the walls, doing some damage to Laddie there, but they'll survive with enough HP to still be effective, and maybe the shift is coming over to B now.
Yeah, Ampa UK, Dex heading over to B, but that proximity alarm is just going to alert Fire to that push. Gooblin takes out Dex as Vino finds a kill on Beaver. The flank is shut down. It's now just down to Ampa UK over in Orange Storage. I guess you could say that IVI are not going to lose too much. They're going to lose a heal, though, which not ideal for them. Rise picks up the kill, closes out the round. It gives Fire the lead with a 2-1 game.
Bit of a wash of a round, at the end of the day. Kind of expected, anticipated with the lack of economy there. Here, though, because of how much they ecoed, they literally didn't even buy into pistols that last round, I don't think. They're able to afford rifles, so they're able to buy in effectively into this round 4, and it's going to be not necessarily a fully kitted offense, but at least a drone, at least breaching foam, a nade, a health syringe. I think they're going to probably have rough. I don't think their rifles. Let's take a look. Are they able to put attachments fully on their rifles? I'm sure some of them won't be fully kitted, but it is at least a full rifle buy, and they should be able to put up a pretty good contest in this next round. I imagine, however, Bob, they're going to be a little more cautious. They're not necessarily going to full send like they did that last round when they committed down through that hatch play, and ultimately, again, a massive comeback from Fire on that pistol round, and it's since been 2 rounds in a row. Let's see if it can be a third for Fire as we get ready to dive in to round number 4.
Yeah, at this point, IVI definitely knows that they can't try and just overwhelm Fire with this their sheer power. They're going to have to put a little thought into their pushes here. There's a drone moving into Blue Hallway. It's going to scan that static field emitter, just gaining as much intel as it can before it gets shut down by Rise. Vino, Gooblin over in lockers right now. It's IVI still up on the roof. It looks like they are going to push from that storage hatch / Blue Hallway side of the map, which I don't know if that's a good idea because it looks like Fire is set up to intercept a push from there. It looks like IVI's testing the waters. They're figuring out what they want to do. Meanwhile, over on the flank, Mr. Tabs is taken out by Miniboo and Dex, who are now coming to support the rest of the team, give them an opportunity to push out into the Blue Hallway. Will that work out? We'll find out in just a moment. There's a frag grenade tossed into storage as it drops both Beaver and Laddie, an S-tier frag tossed by Jim. Ampa UK over in Blue Hallway does take out the static field emitter, but it's not the best start for IVI once again.
Yeah, it really isn't. It's a... there's a little bit of something, though. As Gooblin goes down, a nice nade coming through. That's what really saves you in a lot of these short buy rounds. The utility can be a massive factor, especially at the higher level. And that's what we're tuning into here, a higher level fight with IVI and Fire duking it out. Veno waiting for the push in as Rise picks up Dex on the A site. Veno could be popping out of this door blocker and finds the connection there, and a nice little swing back for Fire as Miniboo's alone in a 1v3.
And against 3 other Vezins, they've got some smokes and a heal as well. So Miniboo's got their work cut out for them. Not to mention there's only a minute 10 left on the clock, and the EMP isn't in their possession. So could anything be worse for Miniboo at this point? But, I mean, definitely don't count them out yet. That Vezin can be the catalyst they need to turn this game around. Rise trying to jiggle peek there over by the cubby. They're going to draw out some fire from Miniboo, but there's 50 seconds left on the clock, and every second Miniboo is waiting here is a second that they're losing to push into the site and find a potential turnaround here. What do you do here if you're Miniboo? Do you go for the salvage possibly? Rise is still baiting on some shots as Miniboo's looking for that kill, but there's less than 30 seconds. And yeah, I think we're going to see a salvage from IVI.
For a moment, I thought that maybe the hero play was viable, but this was a full investment from IVI off of their double eco. These off of losing all their big rifle buy and then losing that pistol round. It was there, and it's kind of... Yeah, it's hard. I don't know where their economy is going to be here because they're looking at a 3-round loss bonus. I don't think that gets you enough for a rifle, especially when you have what they have in terms of like 125 cash. We'll find out here in the next 5 seconds where it does put them, but they may only have 1 rifle going into this next offensive round, which doesn't mean the end of the world. It is still possible for Fire to or IVI to connect with a couple of points here in this back half. I think a partial buy is interesting as we see Vipers and Utility come in, but Utility is the right choice. I think that's going to be the real differentiator. And if this IVI team can find some early kills and sort of chip away at this Fire defense, it's tough though. I mean, what are the KDs? They found some kills on IVI, but that was maybe mostly the pistol round. Since then it hasn't been a ton, and Fire across the board are doing well enough. Gooblin, the least amount of cash at this stage. I mean, Veno has over 7K in the pocket right now, so they're going to be. The Fire economy is a-okay for the next 2 rounds, and that's all we have left for this half before we swap sides and reset economy. And I guess to the point, maybe just this 1 round is all that IVI need. Like I said, I felt maybe 3-3 first half, but we could also still see it go the more traditional meta way, where you sort of have maybe 1 or 2 rounds come through on the offense, and then it's really up to the defense to hold things together.
I had a very similar thought. It is a strategy used by teams to bring everything back on their second half of the game. If you want to do that, though, you're going to need some padding, which is why I think best case scenario here for IVI. I mean, right now they can tie it up, but if that is their strategy, I'd wager they're going to go for a 4-2, and that's really where you want to be if you're going for that second half comeback strategy, because it allows you to make some mistakes. If you go 5-1, even just a single round that you lose will push your team onto your opponent onto a match point. So you don't want to let that happen, which is why IVR are going to ideally need to pick up here a second round in this first half. Mr. Tabs picking up some damage from Dexus. They're just caught by that frag grenade. Very nice pinch from Mr. Tabs as IVI moving over into the museum. They've got the breaching foam on the kill box wall. I'm hearing a drone as well. But Fire very, very well set up in Site B. Minute 50 on the clock. Plenty of time for IVI to make a move here. But they are going to have to do something relatively soon. But UK picking up something over there. It looks like they, once again, are slowing down their push. No, there goes the wall. Jim is over in the kill box, and Incendiary's tossed over to that rotation between Office and Museum. Miniboo coming in through the window, and Printers as they look to find a second one, but Jim quick on the defense there as Vino finds Ampa UK. That didn't work out for IVI.
What a nice attempt from IVI. I really love to see the double smoke wall breach effort there. That was a coordinated, constructed attempt on their partial buy round. Now they're going to get the 4-round loss bonus, and that does give them enough to full buy. Oh, no, still not. Dex and Laddie are going to be short just a little bit. But they'll be better off going into this round, which is the last one of this half. But again, on that play, the double smokes, it had potential to work. The Beaver flew out from that smoke and had 3 lined up in their sights. But to the point, Jim and the Fire defense really doing a good job of holding their ground. And IVI may only get 1 foot in the door if things go the way of Fire right now, but they also may want to get their fifth reconnected into the lobby before the round starts. That's certainly going to be a help. Although I guess if you have a bot on defense, it's not too bad in that. Rise comes back in, and so it is going to be a tough one for IVI. But like you said, they want that 4-2. It's something that I think is attainable, especially with all the utility that they're bringing. Look at all the frags. Look at all the flashes coming in as well. I'm very curious to see how some of this stuff gets utilized.
And we'll find out in this round. Now, I mean, I've seen teams turning around here on the last round, so it's still possible that IVI could go 4-2 into the second half, which would be very, very nice for them. And I think they definitely have potential. I mean, they are the only undefeated EU team who's been here from the start of the season. So, oh my goodness, Mr. Tabs is caught out by a double frag, but Mr. Tabs finds 2 kills of their own with a trip mine. And that's rough for IVI, because these are early picks that you're giving up that you really need to be checking for with either a drone, or you need to take your time when moving in, because you can't lose players like that.
A massive double kill to the trip mine that keeps Fire in control of the defense. As flashbangs come in and miss their target, Veno and Gooblin survive well and alive and are holding this B site entry down. Another nade rolled, and Beaver gets picked apart by a beautiful frag.
Gotta say, there's been artillery going left and right in this first map. The EMP is down over in orange storage right now. Miniboo and Laddie looking to recover this round for IVI. Vino currently playing center as Jim in the connector right now. They're in a really bad spot as another frag is tossed that almost catches them, but they do breach open site B. Miniboo's kind of caught by that breach because they're checking that over there on Fire now. Meanwhile, Laddie walks right into Gooblin, who secures that kill, and it's now just down to Miniboo, who's looking for a potential kill and is the only player on IVI left in this first half. The last chance they have to give themselves a 4-2 game here in map 1.
The big clutch needs to come through and see if Miniboo can deliver on it. A big shift to the A side, maybe almost encouraging the swing in to be saying, hey, take it. And then, yeah, to the point, I guess they found the EMP. That's why actually everyone is over there. So they're going to hold that EMP down, and I think Miniboo has an opportunity here to start with Veno, catch the first pick they need. And there it is. Now it's a 1v3, chipping apart this defense one by one. With 45 seconds left, very doable. They have a couple of options on how to approach this A site and this EMP, but it is some bit away, and I do like how the Fire defense has really set up the angles here. Jim could go down first. It's an opportunity then to swing the corner, hit Gooblin, and then turn for the triple on the Rise. But that is a tall order, and Jim's doing a great job of holding things down. They'll find the kill, and Fire goes up 5-1 against the undefeated IVI.
And there you have it. And it was a good attempt from Miniboo there. But, you know, when you're in that situation where there's only, you know, less than a minute on the clock and the EMP is down and you don't have possession of it, Fire, I mean, they just played it well. They knew exactly what they needed to do. You know, you don't have to go and aggressively push for the kill because the kill's going to come to you. They have to recover that EMP or else the round's going to time out. So you got to make a move. And unfortunately for Miniboo, they just got caught out there. But, I mean, IVI, they're a tough team. So we could potentially see them bring this back on the defense. We'll see how they play here on round 1 because, I mean, if it's a win for Fire here, it's going to be a tie, a guaranteed tie, at least for Fire. And then one more round after that, they'll claim map number 1. That's still a ways off. We'll have to see how the pace sets itself up here on this second half. But IVI, they're buying into this. They picked up 2 healing syringes, Nightfire.
Yeah, it means a lot to lock in this early pistol round for them, and you're seeing some utility getting scooped up on the Fire end as well. And a nice early opener there from Beaver to catch Veno's headshot as they'll go down, and that is utility out of the hands of the Fire offense for a moment at least. They can go recollected on the outside if they choose, but I don't think they're going to slow down the pacing here. As the hatch opens up, a nade comes in, doesn't go into the server room, which is the goal of that hatch nade toss, but it's a hard one to hit. They'll get another opportunity, I think, with the second nade But this defense is starting to set up for this kind of push, and there's that second nade connecting onto Beaver. The rotation from Antbutt down to the bottom floor. They're going to try and be a threat on the stairs, and Laddie will retake control of the server. And really, the point of the server is so that they can swing as soon as this X opens up, and if there's any smokes, it can be a bit of an offensive element here, which Laddie is going to prime the nade for and get ready to push into.
And here comes Dex picking up some damage and will go down to Mr. Tabs as Miniboo getting pushed out of sight. Laddie tucking over in the server room right now. There's only a minute 50 left on the clock as Gooblin looking to get that EMP planted, almost gets caught by a frag toss from Laddie, but they are going to get that EMP planted. Now just 45 seconds left on the clock before Fire takes this round. Laddie picks up Gooblin as Miniboo takes out Mr. Tabs. It's now a 2 versus 3. Rise taking out Laddie, currently playing that hatch. They know that they have to take out those players before they can push for that EMP. They don't have the numbers advantage over on IVI anymore. Antbutt UK on the orange stairs looking to possibly double swing Rise over here with Miniboo, but Jim takes out Antbutt UK, and Rise finds the second to give Fire match point here on map number 1. They've played this very, very well, and we could see them close this game out in this first map next round.
Jim's position was kind of wild considering everything on how that unfolded. They had the EMP just barely go down, and when it did, everyone rotated off, but also the IVI defense pushed and pushed into the stairs. That's when they find the backs of 2 of the defenders, and that really, I thought, was kind of the end of where this defense was going to be able to hold things down. But Rise really setting the pace there, finding the early kill on the EMP defuse. It then triggers into the mind of IVI, we have to push stairs. This has already been planned for by the Fire offense, though, and Jim had full scent all the way up to the roof, off of losing 2 to the back end, going up the stairs, out the doorway, and got onto the roof to then watch a long angle down to the stairs. The long angle stalls IVI in the stairwell, and it opens up for that pinch that works beautifully for that Fire defense. I mean, that was just really well done, and it's a big commitment to go for that positioning and trust in Rise to hold down through the hatch, because if Rise doesn't hold the hatch, it's a defuse, and it's the round into IVI on the defense. Dex finding an early headshot certainly helps for IVI getting back into the swing of things.
We've seen some connection problems in this server, as actually both teams have a bot right now, which can hurt them a lot. We see Rise, Vino, Jim all picking up some damage as Bod Jordy looking to rotate over in assembly for who knows what reason. But I'm sure, I mean, the bot's trying to help out in their own little way. Meanwhile, a drone moving through orange storage as IVI are looking for Fire. They're looking to gain as much intel as they can. Bod Jordy is back from assembly, looking to take out that drone. But a bit of a stormtrooper there's Jim. Picks off that kill, not giving IVI the opportunity to have their player reconnect. 2 frags tossed. Jim taking out Dex with a very nice double frag setup. Miniboo and Laddie have 16 health combined. So they can't pick up that much damage either. Fire invested into this round. They bought Vezins and one bought an RCP. So they're trying their best to not lose this round and to close us out early before IVI can start picking up any kind of momentum. Here's Antbutt UK on the flank, maybe caught here by Gooblin as the EMP is tossed right past them. They will find the kill on Rise, but Vino swinging out, collecting that kill with the RCP. Jim's over in the doorway into receiving as Miniboo still tucking behind that big blue box. There goes the breach from orange storage as Laddie going around on the flank. They are on the defense. Miniboo fighting Gooblin. Picking up a second on Vino, but will go down to Jim as it's now just down to Laddie against Jim, and Jim finds the kill. That was a very close 1v1, but map 1 is going to go to Fire.
2 big rounds from the Fire offense there. I mean, they earned that one. Unfortunate on the connection issues at the end of the day, truly. But we play in an online league for the most part. We have the NA finals being played in Denver, Colorado. But, when you play online, you kind of have to push through connection issues, unless it's affecting the entire lobby. But either way, big rounds, and really Fire fought hard for that last one and really earned it with some big clutch kills, and I mean, impressive to see this Fire team delivering on map 1 with a 7-1 opener here. What does it lead? Where does IVI go for map 2? I don't know what how the story unfolds, but it's definitely not what I was anticipating. I thought truly it was going to be an even matchup, and if anything, IVI would be the ones that were going to take the 7-1 win on map 1. Instead, it goes to Fire, and this new Fire squad very clearly coming in focused and with a goal, trying to be a new #1 squad in this EU region. And I love to see it. I love to see new competition, teams getting together to try and make the power teams that can compete against these top squads like IVI, Ragnarok. It's fun. It's great to see on the EU end, and I can't wait to see where we get from map 2 and how Fire is going to try and run with the momentum off of a big 7-1 win.
The deficit here in the vote was 35-19 in favor of IVI. So it absolutely is not the biggest difference in predictions. I mean, yesterday we had an 88-10 vote for Aspect to beat Rebel, and then that turned into a big upset. So anything can still happen, and Fire definitely off to a fantastic start, as the teams are going to call a bit of a timeout here. But
yeah,
we do, I mean, I guess while we're here on our little break, we could talk about the sponsors that make VRML possible.
Yes. Yeah, we do shout out to all of our sponsors. We appreciate their support. In particular, Triangle Factory for coming together and supporting us for Season 2, offering cash into the prize pool and supporting us by flying out the top 2 NA finalists to VRML Con 2024 in Denver, Colorado. It is a tremendous amount of support coming in from the Triangle Factory team this season, and it's going to be awesome what we're going to be able to produce. But for both the EU region and obviously that NA in-person finals. If you are able to go, tickets are on sale. It's going to be a fantastic community meetup opportunity for you to see your friends and that you've made maybe over the course of years playing a game like Breachers. It's I can't wait to get into the end, the later weeks of this season, as well as we see new teams developing, and that's all possible because of Triangle Factory's support. So a big shout out to them as developers. They've been fantastic over the course of what's now, I think, coming up on maybe, gosh, how many? More than half a year for sure. We'll have to look back at the timeline in terms of when we started, but I'm looking forward to the year 1 anniversary. That's all I'll say. I hope we can. I think we'll get that far. I think we'll have seasons 3, 4. Like I said, I think Breachers is something that we'll see season 12, 15. Who knows? Maybe World Finals down the line. It's encouraging to see EU with teams like this, and again, all possible because of Triangle Factory. A shout out to our other sponsors as well, HyperX coming in and being a longtime supporter of the VRML. We do appreciate them, as well as, of course, Helga, the esports bot manager, a fantastic tool developed by players that play in the VRML. It helps with scheduling for scrims, league matches, and works in multiple leagues across the VRML and throughout the ecosystem of VR esports. So do check that out. We really do encourage you to check out Helga, the esports bot manager. We're also sponsored, I'm missing one, by ProTube VR. How could I forget? Our longest sponsor for the VRML, and obviously for the Breachers as well. Been around since the preseason and season 1, and we always appreciate their support. They offer fantastic stock options that help stabilize your aim in game, in VR. They're really cool tools from that I got mine right here. The mag tube. You can put your controllers into, and it magnetically attaches to a stock that goes to your shoulder, so it really feels like you're holding something, and it helps stabilize that aim in game. You can check that out at ProTube VR, and I do believe you can use code ILOVEVRML at checkout for a discount at ProTube. So please do be sure to use that if you do end up picking up a ProTube product, and it does help support the VRML to some degree. So big shout out to ProTube VR for, again, their long-time sponsorship. And I think that's it.
You got HyperX in there too, right?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure.
They're hearing it too.
Yeah, you are. Out of the quadcast from me and you have the Procast, right? Yeah. So great high quality HyperX products there. I love the tap to mute on this mic. I have a little running joke when I do the sponsors where I hit the tap to mute and then I say something and you never know what. Yeah, I could have said the ranked release date for Breachers and you would never know because of that tap to mute release date or not release date, tap to mute feature on the microphone. But yeah, big thanks to HyperX as well. And on that note, we got the 1 year anniversary of VRML and Breachers coming up. We got to do like a developers versus VRML match. That would be entertaining.
Yeah, we had the casters versus mods game, which turned out to be a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll see if they have the time. I know they're very busy with a lot of projects and stuff, and I mean, hopefully new maps coming down the line. I don't know. I'd love to see stuff like obviously new maps getting added an element. I mean, there's so much in terms of how Breachers can expand throughout the years, really, and it's exciting to think about. In the long term, we've got to get back to doing maybe some podcast episodes this season, producing a couple of interviews for the teams. I think all that content stuff that we'll be seeing coming down the line here as we get deeper into this season and really do start preparing for the end of the regular season and VRML Con in 2024. So it's there's a lot to look forward to. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube. It'll be the last thing to shout out before we potentially go to a break while these teams get settled in. And ready for our second map. But do subscribe to the channel if you can. We do appreciate that support. All the metrics help in continuing to support the VRML and helping us grow. So we really do appreciate it. If you are able to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already as well. That helps get VRML out to more folks and draw in more people to play with, more people to grow the community with. And I mean, we're definitely seeing a lot of growth this season. So it's exciting to see a lot of new faces coming in and obviously a lot of old ones sticking around, progressing and getting better and better at this game. Where the top end just continues to get better and better, and whether that's encouraging or not, it's really fun to see as a caster. That's for sure. But if you are new, there's all sorts of different divisions you can get into. You'll be matched up against players of similar skill level, and ultimately have an enjoyable competitive experience as the goal of VRML. But if you do really want to put the time in, like some of these players have, the thousands of hours, in some cases, I think, I'm sure some of these top players have over 1,000. I know they have at least over 500 the last time I interviewed them, so I'm sure that's increased to some degree. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch, and looking forward to the map number 2 of this series, seeing how FYR is going to deliver, but I think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that.
Yeah, just a couple more minutes here on our timeout, but to add to that, somebody asked a question in the VRML Discord yesterday, can I still join a top team, or is it too late to ever grind to that? Is the skill gap too big? No, it is absolutely not. And what I said to that user, if you put in the time and you commit enough, you can absolutely get to those top teams, those top ranks. So, if you're serious about getting into the competitive side of Breachers, it's never too late. We've got teams that are looking for players all the time, new teams being formed. So if you're interested, do check that out. And we are just waiting for the teams to connect here again. I was going to cut us over to a small break, but I mean, really, there's only about 2 minutes left before we start up. So with that in mind, let's talk about the next map that's going to come up. Now, I actually know what the map is going to be here for map number 2. It's going to be Ship, that would be, I believe it would be that would be a pick by FYR. They either chose the map or the side. And I mean, it's better for IVI. 19 rounds played, 74% of those won. No data over on FYR for it yet. But remember that a lot of the players here on FYR are players from, we've got Velocity in there, we've got .com, we've got Blazy U. So there are no strangers to Breachers over here on FYR. They know what they're doing, which is why they're putting up such a good battle against IVI. So yeah, I mean, Ship, it really could go either way, because I mean, I think both teams have experienced this map quite a bit. We're just waiting on them to reconnect right now as we're getting down to the last of their timeout players starting to return to the lobbies. Now, I mean,
you gotta mention Bob, your articles. We're going to be shouting out more things. They've started to really get some good traction, in terms of content that we're producing. We're not putting out the regular interviews or highlight reels like we had at the start of last season. That's something, like I said, we will start to increase on as we get later into the season. But the articles have been consistent week to week, and they're lengthy. It's like reading it. It's like your Breachers newspaper. You got to open up. You got to get to the website. You got to open it up, and you got to read each week because it really has a lot of very interesting insights. And Bob started to put his own flavor. It's really the article feels like you're being talked to by Bob, and it's really got a nice. And a lot of fans out there are enjoying it, but people also still not aware. So if you're not, it's live on that. You can check out all of the articles that have been posted for every week of this regular season. That kind of highlights the happenings of each week, of the last week, of the previous week. And so I saw in chat someone saying they're looking forward to this week's recap. And it certainly should be interesting. We've had some good games, or at least this one, a couple of good games, and I'm excited for the next one we have later tonight. Again, another matchup on the NA side at the higher level, and those NA matchups always, again, having that looming sort of live LAN event over their head, coming. It's I love the pressure that I kind of get when we get to watch those. And it's exciting. So do be sure to tune into that. I think that's 7 p.m. PST, so definitely a late night matchup. Early morning if you're on the EU side at this point. But something to look forward to and on the YouTube side. And again, something to subscribe for. It looks like, and again, those articles are on the VRML website. So vrml.com/breachers. That's on the main page right there. You can read those articles to get back to the point. As we do get ready for our next map, we are getting into a bit of a technical lobby reset. Hopefully that solves some of the disconnect issues that we were experiencing in that last lobby. Again, who knows who knows what the real culprit is on the backside with some of those issues. But either way, hopefully we get a bit of a more consistent lobby this afternoon for map number 2, and I think we are still deciding on where we're headed for that second map. So it'll be interesting to see where we land on there. If it hasn't already been picked, it has been Skyscraper.
Different map than what I was expecting. We originally had Ship in the other lobby. Now, where does that fit in? I got to look at the data now to see what we got.
I know.
11 rounds played by IVI. They've won 64% of those. And on Fire, they've played 12 rounds. So one more, and they've got 58% of their rounds won there. I mean, remember that if Fire wins this map, they will win the entire series, and they'll push IVI to have a little 5-1 in their record, which IVI desperately want to not have happen. They want to remain the undefeated team in the EU. And yeah, again, it could go either way. If map 1 was anything to go off of, it's that Fire are going to be a tough team to beat here in this second map.
Yeah, got a lot of momentum working for them. Map 1 going big. 7. I mean, it's interesting to see, and they get to set the pace. Being on that attacking side, it's. I mean, I don't know. I have a chance. Do we see them get aggressive? Do we see them try for the roams, try for those early picks, or because of their lack of success on Factory, are they going to be a little bit more cautious? I feel like being overly cautious on Skyscraper can lead to a less effective defense in some cases. Having that roamer is almost like a key element in a lot of ways because it forces the slowdown of the offense. It forces them to watch their flanks as they move throughout what is several floors. And, I'm very curious to see how things unfold as we do get ready to dive into map number 2 on Skyscraper.
We're back after a short break onto map number 2. IVI taking the defense as Fire starting off on the offense here. Economy from both sides coming out. If you're just joining us, map 1 on Factory, 1-7 in favor of Fire. They could close out this series here if they have a good second map on Skyscraper. Sites are going to be Green Room and Storage. I'm excited to see where we start off here in this second map as Miniboo outside a Green Room right now. It looks like we might see that push onto Site B by Fire.
Yeah, I like to see the spread here. Fuse out and about. Definitely waiting for what would be a early drop down. Mr. Tabs here will go down the stairs, and then you hear as the offense moves out of this position, you'll hear Mr. Tabs' footprints hit on the drop, and so that's an indicator for Fuse to then peek out. They know Mr. Tabs is here, and they'll find the back. A nice little pinch as well, drawing the attention. Mr. Fuse is still here as Jim is going to push up. Veno doesn't catch the back of Fuse, and Fuse able to drop in and hold on the backside, catch another headshot, and again the roam, a key element on Skyscraper and paying big dividends with 2 early kills.
And Jim is caught between a rock and a hard place here. You've got Miniboo over on your flank. You've got Fuse ahead of you over in broadcast room. You've lost 2 of your allies. How do you approach this? 2 minutes on the clock as Amp UK is being dropped by Rise, and Jim decides to change up the push. They're just stuck over on lower south at the moment, and Miniboo will catch them if they decide to go out into lobby. So it's important for Jim to play their cards smart. Laddie heading back over to Site B is Jim now making their way into lobby. They may be caught here by Miniboo. Oh, but they decide at the last minute not to swing out into lobby just yet as Gooblin opening up those windows. Jim rotating out into courtyard. Miniboo now finds themselves surrounded, this time by Gooblin, Rise, and Jim. But there's Fuse on the upstairs to find Gooblin as Rise downstairs, almost getting picked off by Miniboo, who finds Jim instead. And Rise will take out Miniboo's refrag as we see Fuse, who's been a thorn in the side of Fire this round, pick up the final kill, dropping Rise and giving IVI the lead here on map 2.
I really felt like Fire was defending there. I mean, in a lot of ways in terms of how the pace had been set last map. It was a much better looking IVI defense and much more of what we sort of expect out of them. Good roam, good setup, and even more so they got even more aggressive than I really felt they had to. They had a pretty good spread with several flankers out. It's why they lost one in that early pick, because there was a battle up on the top floor where they lost that first kill on IVI's end. But still, a really nice job, and again, Fuse playing big on that roam, finding multiple kills. It was just a very well structured defense, and again, to be aggressive off of a 7-1 loss on map 1 is also pretty impressive and expected out of a top team, quite frankly. It's what you would anticipate. Teams at the top, they have to be able to weather the storm of losing rounds and come back, and maybe the timeout helped them. Maybe to the point they recentered a little bit as a squad, had a pep talk, maybe got some water, who knows. But the refocus seems to have worked wonders on the defense as we do get ready to go into round 2, and a minimal investment coming in. Only 1 rifle on IVI's side, so they're keeping it somewhat conservative, not overspending here, just in case, because, well, they've seen how that's worked in last map.
I was about to say, yeah, they're trying to not repeat history, as Laddie over in bathroom right now may be surrounded here in just a moment as Mr. Tabs finds a Miniboo. Fire looking to adapt as Gooblin picking up a trip mine here. A couple of their players are very, very low on health as Laddie does find a kill on Gooblin before going down to Mr. Tabs. Fire moving into bathroom right now. Looks like the push is going to be on the B2 lounge. Dex is currently waiting and finds the kill on Mr. Tabs. Very nice setup there as Jim and Vino over in bathroom. There's the foam on the wall. Dex may be caught here, but finds the kill on Jim before going down to Vino.
A long and patient hold from Rise on the outside of the courtyard finds them a kill. They shift over to A site where there's a door blocker but can't do much without an EMP. So they will have to eventually go back all the way over to the bathroom. They got plenty of time, 1:40 on the clock. And it's going to come down to Fuse and how they hold. I think strategy will be to maintain their tucked-in angle and hold on A site. There's no... Oh, there is a potential to open up the back window and hit them in the back and the flank, but I don't know that Rise is going to go for that long of a rotation, especially with the wall already opened up here on B. They've got a good opportunity to kind of scan B site and enter in through that B site area. Maybe they'll end up rotating, though, and potentially catch the back of Fuse, but Fuse is now starting to swing between A and B. You could go with a retake option. Just hold down one, wait for the plant, and then go on to the retake, but with a rifle in hand, it doesn't necessarily maybe feel right because it is that advantage that they do have. They know that there's no rifles or SMGs they're going to be going up against. But there is still some foam for Rise.
Yeah, I think Fuse probably would have heard that window just like they heard that push into B2 Lounge from Rise, who's now planting it on the table. This is some interesting positioning, and it may work against Fuse. It will work against Fuse, as you don't often see an EMP plant there. Very smart move from Rise to head center and plant it behind that table that obscured Fuse's vision, and they were checking a different angle. And I mean, even if you have that Vezin, if your opponent gets the shot off first, it doesn't take much, even if they have a pistol, to kill you.
Holy moly, the swings this series. Another, I mean, they're thanking their lucky stars they didn't overcommit like they did that last round. Of course, it could have been different, obviously. With more rifles in play, it could have gone maybe IVI's way if they did buy big, and that's always the guessing game you have to take. It's the beauty of breachers at a competitive level. What's the economy management like? What do they commit to? Are they going to go for the risks? Are they going to take the safe route? And they took the safe route. So they've got 4 rifles coming in on their side. On the defense, 1 person buying all the attachments and utility, and so they'll also have health syringes and frags to hold things down. Door blockers have been set up, static emitters have been planted, and Fire also coming in, equally kitted off of a massive comeback round. Not necessarily as big as the last one, but still a big clutch with the pistol, the EMP plant, and into round 3 we go. Tied up 1-1 on Skyscraper. That could be the one round they need on the offense, Bob.
It absolutely could be. And remember, in map number 1, IVI started off with a win, and then it went to Fire. I'm pretty sure it went to Fire, and then they never got around again over on IVI. So, hey, maybe we could see that happen here as Fuse getting dropped very, very early by Fire, who's now looking to move into the lobby. If I had to make a guess here, it'd probably be a push onto Conference or Site A using the lobby lounge and pushing in through that soft wall. We see Miniboo over in the conference hallway as Vino running into a trip mine, picking up a lot of damage. Jim looking to cross over into lobby lounge along with Gooblin, who does have breaching foam on that wall. We're going to see a push here in just a moment, and it looks like Fire may decide to full send it. This is a fast strategy, and it's all going to depend on how well they can execute and pick up those initial kills. Miniboo taking out Gooblin as Dex dropping Mr. Tab, so not the best start onto this push for Fire. Miniboo looking to push up into that breach, finds another kill on Jim, but Vino will secure that refrag, looking for Ampa UK through that partition as it's a 2 versus 3.
Rise clutched the last round and is still alive here to support Veno on this rotation to A. There's a duo set up. The long haul is held firm by Dex, and it's going to be hard to get control there to open up the sidewall like they want to. Ampa could swing and go for a risky play on the hunt for the double, but they don't have to. With 1:10 left, there's plenty of time. Fire are going to take their time. Dex catches one on the long angle as they continue to try and get control of this hallway and cannot, even with the smoke down. It doesn't lend to advantage to them at all. In fact, actually, Dex still has the angle even with that smoke out. Ampa does get aggressive, goes down for it. Veno gets a health syringe, heals up. It's a 1v2. Maybe Veno will clutch this round.
Beautiful movement and very nice speed from Veno there. picking up that heal and finding a flick, a very, very nice flick onto IVI. And there's only half a minute left on the clock, so Venom's going to have to make a move here, and they're going to have to make it soon. Either find both the kills on Dex or Laddie or get that EMP planted and wait for 45 seconds. So Venom's got some options here, but you know the moment they get that EMP on the wall, you're going to see a push from IVI. They know that they have Veno in a good spot to push them and go for that round win. Veno taking out Laddie as it's now just down to Dex, who looks to check into side A and finds a kill on Veno. And IVI not having it. It was a close attempt from Veno, but IVI taking that win, moving this game 2-1 in this first half. That was a very, very nice clutch there from Dex in the end, but I mean, it was certainly very close.
Really nicely played. Felt like Veno had the advantage with the active camo running there, but just didn't read the swing out from the doorway, and Dex with a huge round, killing multiple down that long hallway, defending from what was a multiple attempted push down that hallway from Fire, and finding that final kill. That's one way to keep IVI in this thing, and well, Fire now is hurting on their economy, but they're managing it. They're going to take the eco round here. They're going for the hero buy out of Rise, so one rifle invested in the hopes that they take down one of the rifles of IVI, but equivocally, IVI only has 3 rifles on their side, 2 Vipers coming in because they also lost big. 4 died with rifles in hand that round, and they only got 1 through. So we could be headed to a 3-3 half here. At this pace, the economies are pretty even.
Yeah, although Skyscraper's often thought to be a defender-sided map, so if you go 3-3 heading into the second half,
that's not ideal.
That would not be ideal for IVI, to say the least. But I mean, we could see these teams are very similar in their skill level, so map advantages may not be as prominent as they usually would be. In Veno being dropped very early by Fuse. Nice use of the Viper there. It had a bit of a buff recently, which has made it a lot more viable for using it in competitive play like this. Before, teams would often have to just stick with a Spectral or a pistol, but now SMGs are finding their way into the meta and finding more use here. As Jim is about to run right into Amp but UK, but just decides to swing off of that angle, and that may come back to haunt them as Amp but UK about to round the corner on lower north. Jim taking out Laddie. Here comes Amp but UK and swings and finds that kill onto Jim, and is now going to rotate away to safety. Very nice use of the roamer for IVI. There's a minute 50 left on the clock. Fire going for that push onto the B2 lounge, but they are down by a player, so this is going to be a lot more difficult for them now.
Wonder if they can... Was that kill? I don't think they can get the rifle off of the body. Ooh, and the trip mine nicely identified. That could have been devastating to the Fire offense there. A good read that keeps them well and healthy as they do rotate out of this site here. And yeah, I do think they got to try and collect the rifle. Manibu is guarding that long hallway, and at the very least, Rise does have Vezin in hand, so that hero buy still in play. And ultimately, whether you have 3 alive around it or 1 alive around it, it all comes down to if that rifle can find some kills. They have the finalist skin on display there, so maybe it'll help with a little extra bit of focus down the barrel as they do go into this 2v4. 45 seconds left. The clock is ticking.
Either that or they'll be distracted by how awesome the skin looks. VRML final skin, or maybe it'll give you power because you are playing in a VRML match. Either way, it's a 4 versus 2. Gooblin and Rise have their work cut out for them. Gooblin picking up some damage as Rise and Gooblin rotating over to offices. They've opened up the B2 lounge with that breaching foam. Rise is now going to try their luck onto offices with a breach there. Minibu taking out Gooblin as Rise looking for a kill, but is in a very difficult spot. Finds one on Dex. looking for a possible second, but Mini Boo
Nice.
shooting under the table there. Very well played from IVI as they make it a 3-1 game here in this first half. They're doing very, very well, getting more rounds on fire this time around. They were only able to get one in map 1, but I'd say they're on a good track.
I think... Was Veno holding a Vezin on the end of that round or a Cadillo?
I believe it was a Vezin.
I think I just saw them try and swap their their white skinned Vezin for the VRML skinned Vezin, and when they went to do that, the round ended, and they loaded in without a rifle in their hand. So I think it's lost on. I mean, I could be crazy, but I think they are now having to buy an extra rifle, which doesn't really hurt them too much because they're on this loss streak. But still, that's a lot of money that I think just got dropped by mistake. And that sucks.
I mean,
that's really
it is a
unfortunate.
VRML finalist skin, though. Let's be honest. It's important as we get into this fifth round here. Only 2 rounds left in this first half, and Bob Vaughn's being dropped very early by IVI. Again, we're having some problems with players disconnecting at random intervals in this game, and it's got to be annoying for these teams. But again, it's an online league, so you just kind of have to work with these problems. It's a part of playing esports, and no matter where you go, you're going to have some similar issues. Anyway, we see Mr. Tabs down by lower north as the rest of Fire upstairs dropping down into upper lounge as Dex shuts that down with 2 quick kills. Mini Boo there to deliver the third. Mr. Tabs, however, finds Laddie and finds himself now in a 1 versus 3. He is able to take out Mini Boo as it's now a 1 versus 2. Ampa UK currently playing center in Site B. There's 2 minutes left on the clock, and Mr. Tabs finds himself in a very interesting situation here.
They are tied on the kill leader for the Fire Team 5 this round.
Oh, no.
The trip mine. A nicely placed trip mine tucked in around the corner of the Stay Fresh dispenser. And, man, trip mine's MVP this series. I mean, who knows? They've been really finding some big kills so far for both sides. Fire really doing some good work with them on Ship Factory and now on Skyscraper. IVI finding some good success on defense, finally finding a bit of a rhythm. And the economy of Fire is not in a good spot right now. They're in the last round of this half. They're going to be buying into a rifle, SMGs, limited utility, and they're going to have to do their best. And we've certainly seen teams, especially at this level, come back with limited resources. So it's not out of the question by any means. And IVI really don't want to let another round on the board. Because again, that 4-2 half on offense is pretty good on Skyscraper. It's not a bad space to be when you go and swap sides and go onto the defense.
Yeah, and we'll see if Fire can pick up this final round here in this first half. It's going to be important.
Yeah.
Again, you got to give yourself some room here because it's almost impossible to bring it back 5 rounds in a row to tie it and then get the extra one for the win. It's happened before, but it doesn't happen very often, and it takes a very coordinated team and a fair amount of luck to also make that work. So that's why you got to give yourself some fallback in case, if that is your strategy. Gooblin over in the office hallway right now with that cloaking device, and Fire trying their best to keep themselves in this game. They had a very strong opening map, but they've struggled for pace here as they play the offense on map number 2. Proximity alarm going off as a frag tossed. Oh, that did a lot of damage to Mr. Tabs and Gooblin. Nice toss by IVI as Fuse swinging out, finds the kill on Gooblin. Very, very well played. And some nice picks for IVI. They're definitely playing a lot more like that undefeated team that we expected them.
Yeah, well, they're trying to hold on to that record. They're trying to push this to a map 3 decider, and it's certainly looking at least good here on this final round of this first half. We'll see what the side swap leads to. Maybe we go to a tie this wrap, and then the best they can do is tie the series or lose, in which case, not ideal for either team, but obviously they'll be pushing for the tie on both sides. And yeah, it's very interesting. Well, it's TBD. Fire is still in the setup phase here, and they are starting to set up around this A site as Jim does a little bit of scouting work through the window. Doesn't find Rise just yet, but a nade will come in to clear certain angles.
Miniboo playing site A right now is Fuse actually picking up a fair amount of damage from that RCP. However, Miniboo swinging out, finding Mr. Tabs, looking for a second onto Veno. Jim is still in the window, and Miniboo's actually in a pretty difficult spot, but will manage to wiggle out of there as Jim gets pushed away from the window. It's a 2 versus 5 as Laddie catches Rise.
Oof.
Now just down to Veno and Jim in a round that it had some promise from Fire, but it's starting to look a little bit bad for them. However, Jim is able to take out Fuse. By no means are they out of it yet, although they did get flashed by their teammate Miniboo, taking out Veno as Dex is caught by Jim. Oh my goodness. Not ideal at all for Fire, but they do still have a single round here on the first half, and hey, that could be all they needed.
We'll have to see. The pistol round is a big one, obviously, as we do swap sides, reset economy, and Fire go on the defense. They need this one, and then every round after it to take this map, and ultimately the series, which would be a crazy way to win against IVI in a 7-1, 7-5, 1-2 punch. I truly don't see it happening now, because to the point I feel like IVI's warmed up, maybe awakened to the threat that is Fire and locked in on Skyscraper at the very least. That's, of course, we'll see how the attacking set goes, but Skyscraper does lend itself to the defense, so there's still a foot in the door for Fire, but that's all it is as we do get ready to go into our first round of the second half. A shout out to everyone tuning in, hanging out, and enjoying the action. We got a great crowd for a Saturday afternoon. And a reminder that there's another match later tonight at 7 p.m. PST on the NA side that you're not going to want to miss. That'll be casted by Martini and myself, and that should be another fun battle here that you can tune into later this afternoon, later tonight. So keep your eyes peeled on that as we do get into round 1.
That was close for IVI as Fuse was replaced with a bot, but managed to reconnect in time as Fire getting pushed out of server room. IVI on the move. They're moving quite fast here as they head into the second half now that they take the offense. Input UK and Mr. Taps are just jiggle peeking each other out in the broadcast hallways. Miniboo makes their way into Red Room. Jim in the server corner as we see Veno pick up some damage there from a frag. 2 minutes 10, plenty of time for IVI to make a move. They're picking up the trickier half of this map, and Mr. Tabs finds one, looks to swing, finds 2 kills as Veno drops Dex. And this is the Fire that we saw in map number 1. It's now just down to Fuse and Laddie, and as quickly as it started, it almost seems to be over.
I had to imagine that Tabs was crawling up and going 3, 2, 1 push, because that was beautifully coordinated by Veno and Tabs on the backside. Really nicely done to pick apart the server offense there, and it puts Fuse and Laddie into that 2v5. It's, again, moments like that where you do see Fire really executing very well as a team and deserving the rounds they are earning. IVI is still obviously in control. 5-1. They've got 2 rounds to go on the attack. The pistol set would have been nice, but it does not mean that they don't have an opportunity to find a few rounds here once they get their economies under their belt. For now, at least, I think Laddie's going to try and do damage, try and find some kills. He's going to peek onto the short corner to Gooblin. Doesn't find the headshots they need there, and another goes down, making Fuse the lone survivor of the IVI offense.
And I don't imagine we're going to see Fire push out and take any unnecessary risks. They know the game they have to play, and they have to play very, very carefully. IVI are going to carry a frag and a healing syringe over into the next round. So not horrible for them, and Fuse doing a little dance there, the Macarena, as they are going to salvage over on IVI. But what a round it was from Fire. I mean, they came back swinging here. And again, that's the kind of pace that they need to have, because now they're going to have to win 6 rounds in a row if they want to win this matchup. They have to play very, very smart. They can't afford to take any unnecessary losses. They're going to have to buy some rifles here in the next round. And it's going to be close every single round. IVR are not going to let them walk away with this. They know that they are right there. And all it takes is one round to secure the draw and then force us to go to a map 3. So they're not going to let that go.
Yeah, it is a constant pressure for the Fire defense. And I think it's incentive to invest big into this next defensive round off of that map when we've seen it obviously work and not work. In particular, not work for IVI. Fire now is committing in with 2 Vezins, an SMG, and some utility, and hopefully they'll get their 5th connected back in time to properly defend. But they are they going to keep the Omen? That'd be interesting if they do go. Yeah, they are going to go. Okay, they swapped from the RMP to the Omen, from Jim to Rise, keeping 2 pistols. Still, I think it's a good partial buy. It does put them into a position where they're not going to be completely underwhelmed if they lose this round, but it also does give them that nice advantage over the pistols that they're going up against with IVI.
And they could be anticipating that IVI are going to super eco like they did in map number 1. Remember, they lost an initial round, and then they super ecoed and played Jesper. So it's a strategy that you see from IVI where they're just saving up as much money as they can to get Vezins along with that extra utility that they need. So that could be where Fire's strategy came in here. They only picked up 2 Vezins because they don't want to give them any kind of rifle, and they want those 2 Vezins to anchor close to the site and not play way too aggressively. But anyways, 2 minutes 15 left on the clock as we're seeing Miniboo just outside of offices right now. Rise over in site A along with Gooblin. We did see a static field emitter tossed in front of that office wall. Ooh, a good strategy from Fire. They're kind of carrying their defense with them and deploying it in a good spot. We see, Mr. Tabs might be caught by that frag. No, but finds one. Swings out on the decks and picks up a second one. As we see, it's a 2 versus 3. Not good at all. Only 1 Vezin is up for Fire right now.
1 of 2. Where is the second is the big question. Can it get scooped up by an attacker? I don't know.
It's currently up by site A. Yeah, I think it's in the doorway. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is. It's on Mr. Tabs' body up by that fire extinguisher over on 5 right now. So, yeah, they don't want that to get scooped up by IVI at all.
There's the push and Rise defending with a pistol in hand. They don't need a rifle to work that push through. Here's Laddie, though, on a very long rotation to the backside, and Jim with a beautiful shot there drops down and catches the connection for the double, opening up an opportunity for Fire to work their way in and potentially tie up, maybe even win map 2, take the Series W. It's got to be a lingering concern on IVI's end. They, of course, ecoed that round, so now we see IVI full buy. They carry 1 Vezin. Did they get both Vezins? I think they only got 1 Vezin through with them, but they will still be able to full buy on the Fire side. So we're getting our first round where essentially the economies are at an even point. Fire a little bit better off at the end of the day if they do end up losing. But this is a big commitment for IVI. They're going to have 1 more chance after this if they manage their economy right at the very end to try and tie this thing up.
Yeah, either way, though, I mean, they did lose a couple of players over on Fire, so it's going to hurt their economy a little bit because they're going to be forced to buy some other weapons. But I guess either way, this was their rifle round, so they could afford to lose a bit of money. But either way, again, you got to play perfectly here if you want to get this. And so that little bit of money could be the difference between IVI picking up their 6th round or not. Either way, it's a good start to the second half for Fire as they are again playing close to the sites. They're not playing with a roamer, but you don't necessarily need to have one. Their strategy is just to anchor well on their site, keep IVI out for as long as possible, and force them to make a couple of reckless moves, which they can then capitalize on. But IVI switching things up as they head over to the north stairs, upper north, where Miniboo, Amput UK, and Laddie's droning them in. We see Dex hanging outside of the podcast room along with Fuse. If I had to make a guess here, it's going to be a push onto site A. There goes the breach into the podcast room as Amput UK, Miniboo now moving in. Proximity alarm goes off as Fire now wise to where the push is going to come from. There we see another static field emitter toss, which is going to slow them down a little bit more. Fuse tossed in a frag into the back of Mixing and Mayfight. No, it didn't find any damage onto anybody. They do have some strange collision physics. Miniboo taking a rise as Fuse finds Mr. Tabs. Uh-oh, Nightfire. It's a 2 versus 5.
Yeah, it's an all-out brawl over this site as Veno and Gooblin trying to hold it down. The push coming through as Veno continues to fire shots through that hole in the wall, being a good threat. Gooblin on the other side, also preventing the entry through, and another kill coming through. IVI getting stalled out for the time being on their entry to A. They've lost all their utilities, so they can't frag their way in. They have to win these rifle fights, and they're not necessarily in... they're in pretty much even positions in terms of if they're going to peek up in 3/4 cover, and it's going to come down to the challenge of who's going to win on hitting their shots if they want to try and push in that way. I think the right choice, obviously, is to flank. Use your player number advantage. They have foam there on the A side wall, so they're thinking about now opening up the other wall and potentially exposing that 3/4 cover away from Gooblin. There it opens up, and now Gooblin has to shift off a little bit.
Now Veno taking to the back of Mixing as they're both watching their respective sites. Laddie pushing their way into site B may catch Gooblin off guard here, but Gooblin gets behind those boxes just in time. However, Laddie slowly approaching an angle where they're going to get that headshot onto Gooblin. They're not making any noise, and Gooblin is looking into that breach. Oh, is spotted by Amput as Laddie cuts off Veno, and it's now just down to Gooblin, who's got a 1v3, is able to pick up 1 kill, but the EMP is in the process of being planted by Miniboo as Gooblin picks up a 2nd kill. There's now just 1 kill left. Will Gooblin find it? Gooblin will find it, and it's a 4 versus 5 as Fire staying in map number 2 here. That was very, very close.
Absolute massive clutch and a excellent job playing it. The patience of not overextending into the EMP, waiting for that second player, anticipate. That's good. There's a lot of good that goes into that to get you to that point. You have to know your kill count. You have to know how many are alive, how many are dead, which means there has to be good communication within your team, because in the chaos, you're constantly finding kills. You're picking 1, 2, you lose another, you lose another. You don't necessarily have the opportunity to inform your entire team of where everyone is and how many are alive and dead. In that attempt, I feel that Gooblin was very aware they were in a 1v3 and that they were aware of that player count. And maybe it's because they saw the cross in particular of all 3 moving and then caught the 3rd on the tail end. It then opens up the opportunity for the 1v2, and they know there's 2 left. Because of the kill count, because of the team communicating information, hey, we saw 3 cross here. It's all about the team working together in that moment to support Gooblin into getting that 1v2, into finding that 2nd kill, transferring to the 3rd. It's all, again, really good work, and ultimately a massive clutch that puts Fire again in an opportunity to win this series. IVI is fighting. They've got another 3 rounds ahead of them to get 2. So they need to win 2 out of the 3 rounds coming up, and they're doing an interesting partial buy here, where if they lose again, they'll have enough to full buy into the next 2 rounds if they keep losing. So it's an interesting sort of like full investment into, we're committing to a hopeful chance here, but in the next 2 rounds, we need to win.
Miniboo Dex heading over into Lobby Lounge along with Fuse as Mr. Tabs is able to pick up a kill and head back over into Site A. IVI is in trouble here. They're on a bit of an eco here. They're only able to half buy some Vipers, not able to field any rifles. So this is going to be important for Fire because if they lose even 1 or 2 people here, they're gonna lose some extra money, and that's going to hurt their economy in the long game and potentially give IVI the chance to bring things back. So it's important that they don't lose anybody or they don't lose too many people, as we did see Miniboo catch Rise. One of their rifles is now down. A frag is tossed. Fuse very low on health along with Miniboo. IVI by no means out of this. Remember, one more win from them and it'll be, excuse me, a guaranteed draw. As we do see Mr. Tabs taking out Miniboo. It's now a 3 versus 4. Breaching Foam on the conference wall, but IVI does not have the strength to push into conference yet or open up that rotation. There's a minute 15 left on the clock, and Fuse hanging just outside of that breach. We see Mr. Tabs tossing an incendiary, gonna cut off another rotation for IVI. They're stalling them as long as possible. Again, trying to force them to make a move. Mr. Tabs now swinging out as the wall is now open, and Mr. Tabs will pick up a kill on Fuse. Very, very nice as Veno takes out Ampa UK, and Mr. Tabs with the swing on Delati to tie up this game. And Fire played that round very, very well, Nightfire.
What a excellent job on the defense here. They haven't let any rounds slip yet, but now is where IVI really try and put their foot down on the offense. In a lot of cases, you almost play the first 4 rounds to get to this point. If the way that with how IVI have managed their economy and gotten these losses, it's obviously not planned because the big clutches have come through from Fire's side, but they are in a decent spot to fight back here and still try and get at least 1 round, but possibly still 2. They could still win this map off of their early 5-1 defensive set. They just need 2 points, and they've got 2 more points to compete with here as we do get ready for the late stage of map number 2. If you're just tuning in, you missed a very interesting start where Fire came in so strong, Bob. They really opened up what was, in my mind, going to be a quick 2-map series. 7-1 out the gate on Shipyard. They looked impressive. IVI have now awakened, it feels like, off of Skyscraper. They look much more like the IVI we were, I think a lot of the connoisseurs were expecting. And I feel like now we're really going to see, again, the IVI we expect to see when they're on the offense. I think we're going to see good coordination, good utility use, solid use of their rifles, solid head, good aim. All of that's going to be the key factor here. As Amput flies in and does not find the first kill, Mr. Tabs will be the one that connects with things and gets Fire off to a good start.
And it was a good attempt there from Amput, but Mr. Tabs just quick on the draw and is able to flick onto that head as we see the drone go down. Dex dropping into server along with the Miniboo. Fuse looking to drop in as well. There's 2 minutes 10 seconds on the clock, so plenty of time for IVI to make a move here. They are able to field some Vezins, but Mr. Tabs dropping Miniboo. This is a big round because it'll push either team onto match point. And then they could, whichever team could push for victory here, but a couple of kills lead this to a 2 versus 4 with Fire definitely on the advantage right now. There's a minute 45 on the clock as Laddie currently up on the roof. Fuse manages to find the kill onto Gooblin, but they are still in a fair amount of trouble over here on IVI.
Fuse needs support as Laddie now finally gets over to server room, and Fuse can extend out a little bit through the doorway. Laddie has the breaching foam, so they should be able to set up the breach, hopefully not taking too much damage in that process through those shots through the wall. They'll take the EMP as well and get ready for the push into sight as Fuse finds another kill on the Veno on that long alleyway there, on that long angle. It's up to Rise and Jim to hold this B site down. The wall's opened up. They can plant outside of where Jim and Rise are set up, but it's up to Laddie and Fuse to make that decision, and they could be making and playing right into this defense's hand if they do go for this doorway push.
And this is...
it's being read so well by Fire. They're waiting for the doorway. They're anticipating the doorway, but maybe Fuse and Laddie are just working for some utility. Maybe they're just grabbing the health syringe, a bit of this, a bit of that. They don't need the rifle that's on the floor in that doorway. And now Rise is exposed that they're holding that angle. So with 30 seconds left, they have to make a call. Laddie's actually going to extend out, try and foam this wall and open things up to force Rise back and hold the backside. It also does allow Jim, however, to extend out. And now Jim's holding the open hallway there. They'll go down on the outside of B. That's a 2v1 for IVI.
It's now just down
15,
to
13,
Rise. This
10.
is why you have to pad. Trip! Oh my goodness! Rise just has to play back. There's only 5 seconds left. Confused, get the EMP planted, decides to bait it out. But Rise holds back. Oh my goodness, they time it out. And Fuse goes down to Rise. It's a 6-5 game. Fire! Oh, that was so close, but they managed to hold on. And now they've secured match point here on map 2. One more win would give them the win over IVI and give IVI their first loss. But IVI, this is their last chance to tie it up and bring us to a third map. Oh my goodness, what a clutch once again.
A absolute insane moment there for Fire to be able to hold on to that. What's going on with the trip mines, dude? Come on. That's another massive clutch kill from the trip mine. IVI has got to be stunned right now as Fire have put up 5 rounds in a row on defense and are 1 round away from taking this series. The pressure cannot be on anymore for this IVI team. An undefeated squad so far in 5 weeks of regular season gameplay. They're not even going to win a map here if Rise take this next round, and it'll be 2 map series done and dusted. Fire taking their second win as a new team coming in. Obviously, not new players. They are looking and playing at a high level, and these clutches are not easy things to secure. Believe me, it is coming down to map knowledge, good utility placement, big rifles play. I mean, it's you can see Mr. Tabs is showing, you're going to get this skin, Jim. You're going to have this finalist skin if we keep playing like this. And, well, they need 1 more round to go if they want to take this series in week 5.
And it's a bit of a scrape from IVI, only able to field 1 Vezin. But, hey, I mean, that could be the cornerstone that they need to secure this round and tie it up. By no means are they out of it yet. They're going to continue to push and try and find a round here on Fire. Miniboo and AmpButt UK making their way into lower lounge. There goes the drone. They're looking to get some intel before they make a push. They've opened up both the hatch in upper lounge and in conference. So we'll see how they decide to play this. 2 minutes on the clock. There's the breaching foam, and there's a frag tossed out that's not going to catch any damage. But Mr. Tab swinging out of nowhere just decides that they want 2 kills and is going to find them. Laddie, meanwhile, taking out Rise as Dex playing window will go down to Jim, and it's now just down to Fuse and Laddie, the last 2 members of IVI, standing 1.5 minutes on the clock. Fuse is watching that hatch, but gets dropped by Mr. Tabs, and Jim takes out Laddie, and Fire are your winners!
They take the first win against the undefeated IVI on the EU side. They take their second win as a team and, well, put their foot in the ground as a squad that is going to be competing at a high level in Season 2 of the VRML. It is a hard-earned series win, to say the least. 7-1 out the gate was impressive, but the comeback there on the defensive side, 3 clutch rounds in a row, quite frankly, that put them in a position to win, and then ultimately securing that final hold with 4 left alive. The confidence in that team there, the celebration and the dance afterwards. It was a really fun series to tune into, to say the least, and it's why we had over 70 folks tuning in this afternoon to catch a fantastic matchup on Saturday. And a reminder again, before people start trickling away, that there's another game later tonight, OL versus Radiate on the NA side, another 2 top squads that haven't got a ton of limelight yet, and so I'm excited to cast that game with Martini. That's going to be an excellent one as well if you want to tune into that. But, wow, what a great series we got to catch here this afternoon, Bob.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I knew this was going to be a very, very fun EU game. The community was very excited about it as well. So I'm glad we got the opportunity to come out here and cast that because, wow, I mean, IVI taking their first loss of the season. They're no longer undefeated. And I mean, it was a match that it was expected IVI would win it. It was still, I think, about 35-18. So, I mean, yeah, they were expecting IVI to walk out of this. I know, Nightfire, you were saying you were expected this to be a quick 2-0 for IVI, but Fire really came out of nowhere with some incredible pace. They showed this against Ragnarok. It was a tough matchup there. It was a tough map too for them as well. They really bet it all. It was a big gamble here as they moved into the second half. They couldn't lose any rounds, and they didn't lose any rounds. But I think that's going to conclude it for us. Remember, again, check out that Irradiate versus OL game casted by Nightfire and Martini happening later tonight. And for now, that's going to do it for us here at the VRML. I'm Cubular Bob. This has been my co-caster, Nightfire with 2 E's. We'll catch you all in the next matchup. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody.
Reacher's VRML is brought to you by Helga, the esports manager, Triangle Factory. Thanks for watching VRML.